guys, welcome to my channel where I share my life, my spiritual, my healing, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between, but nothing but authenticity over here, you guys. Okay, well, anyways, I've been through a lot, you guys, and I take a lot of time for my mental health and healing and doing a lot of shadow work. I want to talk about insecurities. Okay, of course, I've broken the generational curse. And I talk about a lot of stuff. I've been through that, part of, my journey as a curse breaker, so I talk about, there's a lot of, there's dark and there's light and, and there's so much perspective and so much things like I said, I've been through a huge transformation, stuff like that. But anyways, I've dealt with an insecure, narcissistic individual that like to put me down and continues, and he follows me from fake accounts, follows me for years. And like I said, as I elaborate more on my story there, but yeah, that's one thing narcissists deal with. They don't do their work on themselves like that. They're very insecure. So let's talk about insecure. Of course, insecure makes them feel better versus, and I want to talk about a healed, whole, healthy man, okay? And just this in a situation. It could go both ways, women too. And an insecure man, okay? And I've been through this, okay? So, and try to help sort of individuals that I have no longer interest, I have nothing, okay? And we'll elaborate more on some of that as I go forward. Insecure man has to put another woman down, and you could tell by their insecurities what they project on you about, again, and anyways, but I did a lot of shadow work and stuff like that, you guys, on myself and heal those things. So it's it's real easy. But is that how lazy? How can you say that? Are they that lazy with fuck to do insecure? It's really sad. You know what I mean? That you have to project, and you'll never. And just for those people, you don't do those work. You'll never. Be with someone high vibrational that's really secure within themselves. It doesn't work like that, And anyways, like I said, you guys, and like I said, I did a lot of work on myself, and just like I said, some people are just really lazy fucks that don't that lazy. They can't even do their own work in the shadow work. You know what I mean? And so that's where the insecurities come in. They see everything they want to be in you, and so they project that instead of going within, and lifting. And then this is where you lift up, you do the work and stuff like that. And this is where a secure man, wants to do the work, and they heal and they evolve and they pour into you, and they, they lift you up and praise you and stuff like that, and encourage you, and you value you and stuff like that. And this is where an insecure individual doesn't want to do the work, so he'll go and belittle another woman to make them feel better. It uplifts them, you know what I mean, to project onto another woman. And I'm just using a manner at this, in my situation. And so it makes them feel really secure to project onto another female, you know what I mean? And that's what I dealt with in my past, and I don't allow that, you know what I mean? Like I said, I've done a lot of work and energetic work, you guys, and I don't allow that, and I let a lot of things go, you guys, because that's just who I am. I don't, but like I said, and I haven't, like I said, I've been doing, not healing, but dealing with a lot of mental and, I focus a lot on that and making sure my mental health, my peace, all that stuff like that is really important and value to me, but like I said, we deal with, like I said, and I'm going to share that more in my journey, guys. And anybody, one of the things, anybody that tries to hurt me, project, or do anything like that, I will throw them under the bus. I'll throw them under 20 motherfucking buses for all I care. It's really sad in this world. I see this, you know what I mean? And I've been through this with individual, and we're going to more elaborate on that, you know what I mean? Like I said, about insecurity. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm moving forward. God is bringing a lot of people that are secure and they're happy with themselves. You know what I mean? Like, and we all have things that we deal with. Of course, it's natural, right? We get old, we get, you know what I mean? Like, or you don't, I didn't come from money, you know what I mean? Like, I built everything, and like I said, I'm proud. I get so emotional. I'm proud of what I fucking built in this world because I did it by myself with no shortcuts or stealing or lying or using people. You know what I mean? So yes, you know what I mean? My process, I took the narrow road, you guys. And I got back up and we're going to get really deep into this, you guys, that, insecure men and what they play on, you know what I mean? And play on your emotions. They're just really sad fucks. I'm sorry, I had to say that. They're really sad. Anybody that has to put another woman down, abuse them, touch them with their mouths are useless pieces of shit in this world. Again, I watched my mother, you guys, I broke a generational curse, and I watched my mother, and this is what in my recent past, like I said, worked hard to break this curse. I worked hard, and I did, you know what I mean, of the abuse, and it took me, but like I said, I saw everything what she went through, and I wasn't gonna allow that, you know what I mean, and I don't. And so, like I said, yeah, the insecure little people that could keep, you know what I mean? Keep talking and stuff like that. And like I said, they're just jealous of your glow up, you know what I mean? They're jealous because you're beautiful and you're gorgeous and you're confident and you know what I mean? And no matter what they did to try to make you feel insecure, didn't work. Physically, I'm not around these people. I don't go around kind of people like that, you know what I mean? And it's one of our lessons in life, you guys, we learn, is that even when I was broken and I was unhealed and I was hurt, I still lift people up. And it's sad because, you're just nasty people. Like, you encourage, like I said, in the miserable of my past, I encourage this person and lift this motherfucker up and didn't even deserve that shit, man. And it's like, and there's no regrets in my situation, you guys. I learned a lot, you guys. And I went through a lot mentally. And like I said, we're going to get into that, and I want to talk more, just a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? And it's pretty sad, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, but that's, again, narcissists, you know what I mean? And, again, I saw this, again, with a stepdad, and just the mental abuse, the emotional. It's just like, wow, these people are really, really insecure with themselves, But they have they have a choice to do the work. But it's crazy, though. These low vibration people like to project and instead of doing the work and lifting, and healing and going within and all that stuff like that, they do the opposite. Because that's what lifts an insecure man up. But a healed, whole, healthy man does not project. He does the inner work. He lifts and he how do you say it? Just like me, like, just really encourages and lifts and, like, it's just like a strong motivator, has no jealousy, has dealt with all those issues, you know what I mean? Like, and loves himself. That's it. Loves himself. I'm sorry, you don't do no inner work on yourself and look in the mirror. That's not no one's problem. And like I said, I've been through so much in my life. I don't hang around insecure fucks. You know what I mean? I just, and like I said, you're more than welcome to watch my page and stuff like that. But like I said, you guys, we all know that has to do with individuals. You deal with them, you know what I mean? Like, that has to do with them, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah. And I went through something. Not only did I have to go and do all this inner work while dealing with an insecure fuck trying to bring me down, you know what I mean? You guys, in the middle of me lifting myself up. So I went through a deep healing, massive, journey. So it was like, like, I don't know how to explain that. Like, you're bulldozing. Like, it was a blessing, you know what I mean? It's like, everything that was rejected, everything this person, individual, tried to, but it did the opposite from me, you know what I mean? It just makes me more bolder. It makes me want to speak more louder, you know what I mean? Like I said, I've been through unhealed, you guys, to healed. And I was a very unhealed person, you guys. And I look back, I don't look back at the version, you know, that was a version that, you know, how can you say that? I had a burial for that person, you know what I mean? Like, and there's nothing wrong with the person, you guys, that I was just a very giving and very, very, you know, like I said, I had generational things, wounds that I had deep, and I had to heal and stuff like that. But like, I was a very giving, and, you know, I look back and I felt like I allowed people to walk over me, you know what I mean? And, you know, and it wasn't intentional. You just go by these people, and it's part of your path, you know what I mean? And that's what your lesson is, that you are not that, you know what I mean? And then it did the opposite, and everything that they try to do and try to bring you down and try to make you, it did the opposite, you guys. I love who I am. And I go out here and I fucking build people up like a motherfucker. You guys, like, I mean, I'm a fucking beast. Like, you could be having the worst year of your life, and you gave me 5 minutes of your time, that fucking year will turn around like you've never seen before. And people keep reminding me that out there, you know what I mean? And I have to keep reminding myself, you know? I continue doing work myself, you guys. Like I said, I have a lot of things I deal with. I don't sit there and go and say constantly, you know what I mean? Like, just trying to belittle somebody, you know what I mean? Like, but again, that's what we call narcissistic abuse, you know what I mean? One of their tactics is like, you know, constantly like mentally trying to put you down, you know, and we'll get more into that, you know what I mean? And so, but it constantly now, it's like, I don't know how, like, God is just, will build me and 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 build me, you guys. And it's like, wow, you know, it's like, wow, these people are just like really hate themselves, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and, but it's like, anyways, like, cause like I have a video for every, you know, I have so much, you guys, and I just want to talk about the insecure, you know what I mean? Like, insecure, very insecure. Anybody that has to, like I said before, you know, they're very insecure people, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry you feel insecure about yourself. You can fix it. Go fix it yourself, you know what I mean? And, you know, we all have scars. Like I have been through a lot of scars, you guys, and I've been through a lot, and I still lift people up, you know what I mean, in this world. And I bring a huge, like I said, you guys, I'm a huge fucking light. I can't take it enough, you know what I mean? Like, and I like I said, I like the version. It's not all out war of who you are, who you were. It's all out war who you are becoming. And I love this fucking version that I'm becoming, you guys. Let me tell you. And I'm thankful for the old version as well. That person taught me a lot too, you guys. I'm all about equality and love, and you treating the way you want to be treated. You know what I mean? You treat me like the way you want to be treated. Otherwise, you don't get that. You don't get that from me. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of times I don't repay, like in this past situation. In this situation, I don't repay this person with how do you say it? Sometimes you give them a little taste of their own medicine. You know what I mean? Because I ignore a lot because it just. You know what I mean? When you're a very, very high person, you don't try to, you know, especially arguing with an arc, and you just don't. I learned that, and but you know, you speak up. You know when you need to speak up, and you put a word out there. You know what I mean? And but it just, you know, it's sad, you know. Again, but you pray, you really do pray, and that these people get secure in themselves and do the work on themselves. You know what I mean? And again, like I said, you try helping a lot of people, and this is one thing I learned. I'm not here to help those that don't want help. You know what I mean? Like this person, they want help. They want to use people. You know, and so try to bring people down and stuff like that. And so, no, thank you, bye bye. I'm on the other end, honey, and I love that end. But anyways, I just want to say God bless you guys, and I will see you on my next video. And yes, excuse the little language here, but yeah, I just gotta put it like it is, and bless those, again, you guys, those that are secure with themselves. I know we all deal with our own things. We've been through a lot, and as I share who I am and stuff like that, and as you guys get to know me on here, and as I become more and more vulnerable, like I said, I've been through a process. I broke a generational curse from narcissist, and so I'm just going back into, and just really learning. It's a whole different, from going unawakened to awakened, and then going through all this narcissistic abuse and stuff like that, and then now you're stepping in here, and it's like you have all this reality, and it's like, and just sharing who I am, and being vulnerable to you guys, and as much as I can, and as much as the Lord wants me to, guys, and so. But again, God bless you, and God bless. Again, I pray for those that are insecure, those that follow me from fake accounts I don't really listen to. I don't, at least show your face, you know what I mean? And God bless you guys, and I guess, again, prayers. Let's everybody put prayers out for those that are insecure, that have to put other people down and belittle people. And when you know what I mean? And that they're going through pain, but it's, that's not okay. See, that's the people that don't want to do the work. They project their pain onto other people, and that's not okay. Deal with your pain, deal with your issues, just like everybody else, and start becoming a light. When you start doing the work, you're going to start seeing a little more light, I promise you. And you're going to start, that's what shadow work is. And sometimes it's deep, deep work. Some people have to really, really dark. So they have to do deep, deep work. Sorry, if you're lazy, you don't want to do the work. God bless you guys. I'll see you in my next video. Mwah, mwah. Stay true. Be a light.